talk about our survey. Our survey comes in our research paper. This can come before or after we write our proposal. This is always left to an instructor's choice. What a survey is a way that we gather information about our topic to see if it's actually something that we can research. When it comes to practicing survey information, we want to make sure that our topic we can find information out about, and also people may want to actually answer questions about our topic. This will show if it actually is a good research topic. When it comes to creating our survey information, we're going to create a survey of about 10 questions on the topic of our choice. In class, or if not in class, you will orally survey 15 people using the questions that you have created. It is crucial that you survey at least 15 people. You want to make sure that your research and information is valid. When it comes to actually asking people what questions you would like, or the questions that you would like to create, we're going to get to that in just a moment. A tabulation of responses. Well, usually this means how do you figure out what it truly means from the questions that you've asked? Find a total for each question. So example, 12 out of 15 people stated no to your question, or 10 out of 15 stated somewhat. This might be a degree answer. So yes, they somewhat agree, they hardly agree, or no, they don't agree. Maybe you're looking to find percentages. 12 divided by 15 equals 80%. So either 80% agree or disagree with your question. This is something else to use towards your survey because it's going to help you with your topic. Of course, if so many people are saying no, maybe it's time to rethink your question and restate it, or maybe it's time to find a new question. After tabulation, write 3 to 4 paragraphs reporting your survey results. When we say using your survey results, this is going to help us show whether or not your research, of course, will be valid, and it also goes along with our proposal. Once it's actually with our proposal, it's going to be part of our research paper as well. And then lastly, I've included the evaluation form and use this information to help guide your paragraphs. We're going to go over the evaluation form in just a moment. And of course, when I say use this information to guide your paragraphs, it's because it is how I will be evaluating your papers and your ideas. So, when it comes to actually creating your survey, of course, hopefully by now you've chosen one topic. If you've chosen more than one, how many surveys do you believe you're going to have to complete? This is something you'll need to think about. Write down what you hope to learn. If you are writing, say, about drugs in the workplace or drugs at school, maybe you want to find out why it's a problem. Maybe you want to find out how you can help limit them. Find out the true question that you're asking and try to find out the true question you want answered. Create 5 or 6 questions that pertain to the topic. Of course, when we've talked about specific versus basic questions, you want to look a little bit more specific rather than basic. If you ask basic, how are you going to actually find out your research topic if it's valid or not? So here's an example that is quite broad, but it'll get the point across. The topic here are shoes. Any female's dream, of course, is shoes. And of course, I can't say that men don't like shoes either. So this might actually be a pretty good topic. I want to find out what people's favorite athletic brands are. Mine, personally, Asics. Usually most days you'll find them on my feet. So here are my research questions. Number 1, are you male or female? That's a demographic question, and it's actually something that'll help add to your paper. Now, a question that's simplistic, I would not hope to find in your 5 or 6 questions. Number 2, how old are you? Another good demographic question. Of course, this can actually add to your questions, but please don't try to figure out hard-hitting facts from easy demographic questions like these. And then male or female. Number 3, do you wear athletic shoes? Males, yes or no. Female, yes or no. Maybe I want to find out if females wear more athletic shoes or males wear more athletic shoes. Number 4 of the list below, what shoes do you most often buy? And of course, I would have listed several brands here. Asics, Adidas, Nike, Reebok, and so on and so forth. Maybe the Tevas, maybe the new Vibram 5-fingered toe shoes. Of course, I would have listed all my several brands here. With my questions, I'd consider going on. So, maybe with number 5, do you choose to wear more sporty, athletic shoes? Maybe you choose to use more casual brands, and I would pose a question about this. So when we say create 5 or 6 questions, you're not going to want to create more than 10. Your survey will take too long and it will be too hard for people to complete. Consider that and make sure that your questions actually apply to your audience. Number 4, tabulate the information that you have generated in as many statistical percentages as possible. So our example here, 30 students have been surveyed, 15 males and 5 females. That ratio is quite interesting, 15 to 5. So 15 males and 5 females answered yes to wearing athletic shoes. Of course, did I include how many said no? If you look at the number of 30 students surveyed, how many don't wear athletic shoes? 10. That's 30% automatically don't wear athletic shoes. That's a pretty big number. Possible statistics. 15 out of 30 total responses of males. 15 divided by 30 equals 50%. So 50% of my possible statistics come from males. 5 out of 30 total responses are females. So 5 divided by 30 equals 17%. When we say possible statistics, obviously if I'm looking at males over females, if I was looking at it from a marketing standpoint, who do you think I would be targeting to possibly get athletic shoe brands to advertise? 2 and 4? It looks like males are a pretty dominant source right now. Of course, that's not to say females don't wear athletic shoes and don't use athletic shoes, but just from my own survey, I see 50 to 17%, and that's quite a ratio. And then number 5, continue tabulating statistics until you cannot think of any other way to tabulate. When we say tabulate, that means make sure I have an idea of what my research is going to come down to. If I'm asking all yes/no questions, or I do multiple choice, how many percentage of them are actually answering this question? So of course, if I used 4 multiple choice answers, say A, B, C, or D, I will have a percentage of how many answered A, how many answered B, how many answered C, and how many answered D. So of course, I could say a ratio of 20 to 5, or I could have a percentage. So 5 divided by 20 equals, or 20 plus 5 divided by how many were actually surveyed, I would be able to figure out a percentage. So once your survey is of course tabulated, it's time to start writing. With a survey, you want to make sure that you answered all your different conclusions. Here's the evaluation that I'm going to be looking at. So I'm asking you to get to the end point before I tell you what a survey might look more like. So an introduction to survey research, I'm going to look for motivation. Why would people actually want to read about this? Why would you, as an author, want to write about this? Identify research objectives. What did you hope to find out? What is your key question that you would like to ask? Stated methodology. How you conducted your survey. Tell me how you did your survey. It's pretty simplistic as that. What did you do to find out your results? How did you go about taking the surveys? Did you hand your surveys out to other students? Did you ask students to take surveys at random? Or did you target a specific audience? These are always in the stated methodology. And then of course you're going to describe findings. Your research results in detail. So this is where you'd include your percentages, tabulations, any ideas that you found out from your research results. You're going to put in detail into your findings. Survey conclusions. This will be your last key point. What summary do you now have from the research that you took from your survey? Is this maybe a good topic to use? Maybe do you want to change this? I would ask you, what does this all look like? Finally, mechanics, grammar, punctuation are going to be worth part of this, and of course, fluency of writing. How easy is your research to read? So, when it comes back to our survey questions and answer types, when it comes down to developing a questionnaire, it's as much an art as it is a science. And just as an artist has a variety of different colors to choose from in the palette, you have a variety of different question formats with which to question an accurate picture of your customers, clients, and issues that are important to them. So, when it comes down to our question and survey types, the dichotomous question. The dichotomous question is generally a yes or no question. An example of the dichotomous question is, have you ever purchased a product or service from our website? Yes or no? You might find these survey results when it comes to websites, maybe when it comes to Facebook. There are many different things that say yes or no, and this is the easiest and most simple type of survey that you can do. If you want information only about product users, you may want to ask the type of question to screen out those who haven't purchased your products or services, or maybe one who hasn't used your product. And by product, I mean what you're really looking to research. Researchers use screening questions to make sure that only those people they are interested in participate in the survey. So of course, if they answered no, you'd knock them out of your research. You may also want to use yes or no questions to separate people or branch into groups of those who have purchased and those who have not purchased yet your products or services. Once separated, different questions can be asked of each of these groups. You may want to ask the have purchased group how satisfied they are with your products and services, and you may want to ask the have not purchased group what the primary reasons are for not purchasing. Hopefully, if you're selling something like shoes, maybe you have some coupons on hand so that people can try it at an easier advantage. In essence, your questionnaire branches to become two different sets of questions. You're reaching those who have and those who have not. Alright, same lines. If you're looking at something political, maybe those who believe and those who don't believe. You're going to branch them out into two different groups. The next set of questions are the multiple choice questions. The multiple choice question consists of 3 or more exhaustive, mutually exclusive categories. Multiple choice questions can ask for single or multiple answers. In the following example, we could ask the respondent to select exactly one answer from the possible 7. So exactly 3 of the 7, or as many as 3 of the 7. So 1, 2, or 3 answers can be selected. So either exactly 3, so each researcher will have 3 examples circled, or they may choose as many as 3. So maybe if they feel strongly about one, they stop there. Here's an example. Example: a multiple choice question to find out how a person first heard about your website is, how did you first hear about our website? This also comes up often when they are doing job searches. How did you hear about our job? Because I want to make sure that their advertising is working. Is it television, radio, newspaper, magazine, word of mouth, internet, or other? Please specify. The other please specify is a good tool to use because of course, what they think might not be listed. For this type of question, it is important to consider including an other category because there may be other avenues by which the person first heard about your site that you may have overlooked. And of course, like I stated, you want to make sure that if they don't believe one of the top, they have a place to put their answer, or your research results won't be accurate. The next type of questioning is rank order scaling. Rank order scaling questions allow a certain set of brands or products to be ranked based upon a specific attribute or characteristic. Perhaps we know that Toyota, Honda, Mazda, and Ford are most likely to be purchased. You may request that the options be ranked because, upon a particular attribute, ties may or may not be allowed. If you allow ties, several options will have the same scores. So, here's the example. Based upon what you have seen, heard, and experienced, please rank the following brands according to their reliability. Place a 1 next to the brand that is most reliable, a 2 next to the brand that is next most reliable, and so on. Remember, no cars can have the same ranking. So here, this is how I would do my ranking. Now, does that mean that's accurate for you? No, but it's something to consider. Each and every person may feel the same way, maybe they won't, and that's something you'll have to find out. P.S. The only reason I believe this is because I've been a Toyota owner a lot longer than I've had my one Honda. So the rating scale. This is a little bit different than the last that we saw. A rating scale question requires a person to rate a product or brand along a well-defined, evenly spaced continuum. Rating scales are often used to measure the direction and intensity of attitudes. The following is an example of a comparative rating scale question. Most likely, you will have a rating scale when it comes to job placement. If someone wants to be hired, they have to go through what they might consider still a bubble test, and you're answering a rating scale. It gives them a good research to see who you are and what type of candidate you might be. So, here's our rating scale question. Which of the following categories best describes your last experience purchasing a product or service on our website? Would you say that your experience was very pleasant, somewhat pleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, somewhat unpleasant, or very unpleasant? Of course, this rates this on a scale that says exactly how that person is feeling. The next type is called the Semantic Differential Scale. The Semantic Differential Scale asks a person to rate a product, brand, or company based upon a 7-point rating scale that has 2 bipolar adjectives at each end. The following is an example of a Semantic Differential Scale. Would you say your website is very attractive or very unattractive? And then they would ask the person to rate anywhere from 1 to 7. If you really like it, of course, maybe it's a very attractive. If you're not feeling it, it's probably a very unattractive. So, what it says at the bottom, notice that unlike the rating scale, the Semantic Differential Scale does not have a neutral or middle selection. A person must choose to a certain extent one or the other adjective. The Staple Scale. Wow, let me fix that right now. The Staple Scale. The Staple Scale asks a person to rate a brand, product, or service according to a certain characteristic on a scale from +5 to -5. Indicating how well the characteristic describes the product or service. The following is an example of a staple scale question. When thinking about Data Mining Technologies Incorporated, do you believe that the word innovative aptly describes or poorly describes the company? On a scale of +5 to -5, with a +5 being very good description of DMT and -5 being poor description of DMT, how do you rank DMT according to the word innovative? So here the word innovative is in the middle. +5 describes it very well, and then on the other end of the spectrum, -5 poorly describes it. So of course, however the person is feeling, maybe you want to use the staple technique. The next is the constant sum question. The constant sum question permits collection of ratio data, meaning that the data is able to express the relative value or importance of the options. Option A is twice as important as option B. Example: the following question asks you to divide 100 points between a set of options to show the value of importance you place on each option. Distribute the 100 points, giving the more important reasons a greater number of points. The computer will prompt you if your total does not equal exactly 100 points. This, of course, is a little bit easier to do with a computer, or obviously a mathematical mind. When thinking about the reasons you purchased our Target Find data mining software, please rate the following reasons according to their relative importance: seamless integration with other software, user friendliness of software, ability to manipulate algorithms, level of pre- and post-purchase service, level of value for the price, convenience of purchase / quick delivery, and that would equal up to a total of 100 points. This type of question is used when you are relatively sure of the reasons for purchase, or you want to input on a limited number of reasons you feel are important. Questions must sum to 100 points, and point totals are checked by JavaScript. Of course, if you don't have this option, you'd have to do it by hand. The open-ended question. The open-ended question seeks to explore the qualitative, in-depth aspects of a particular topic or issue. It gives a person the chance to respond in detail. Although open-ended questions are important, they are time-consuming and should not be overused. An example of an open-ended question might be, if the respondent indicates they did not find what they were looking for, what products of services were you looking for that were not found on our website? If you want to add an other answer to a multiple choice question, you would use branching instructions to come to an open-ended question to find out what other. And then the demographic question. Demographic questions are an integral part of any questionnaire. They are used to identify characteristics such as age, gender, income, race, geographic place of residence, number of children, and so forth. For example, demographic questions will help you to classify the difference between product users and non-users. Perhaps most of your customers come from the Northeast, are between the ages of 50 and 65, and have incomes between $50,000 and $75,000. Demographic data helps you paint a more accurate picture of the group of persons you are trying to understand. And by better understanding the type of people who use or are likely to use your product, you can allocate promotional resources to reach these people in a more cost-effective manner. Psychographic or lifestyle questions are also included in the template files. These questions provide an in-depth psychological profile and look at activities, interests, and opinions of respondents. So when it comes down to it, demographic questions are something every survey should have, but of course, your survey should not be just all demographic questions. I'm going to stop right here. These are the survey type questions. I'm going to continue on with the next presentation about how we can put your survey together and what other questions you might have.